Hi, I'm Richard Rankin, and I am live and direct on Level Up.
Thank you so much for coming in. It was so cool meeting you. I think we met at the Scottish BAFTAs, right?
We've met a few times now, no? I think the first time
We
was the
have.
Scottish BAFTAs a few years ago,
Yeah.
and I saw you most recently at the last one.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, and you're
That was
always an
good.
absolute ray of sunshine.
Thank you. And you were there looking amazing in your fantastic kilt,
Yeah, I do try.
joined by possibly one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen that I later found out was your wife,
It's
in a
Sammy.
most amazing Zimmerman dress.
Oh, she's a very big fan of Zimmerman.
I
It's
am.
brilliant.
I actually am too. We're
Yeah.
quite a lot of their bits and pieces. But what were the things that really inspired you to go and to move into acting?
I think it came much later, actually. I mean, I've always needed a sort of a creative outlet, I think. I've always been a bit of a daydreamer. I've always wanted to sort of imagine and make things, I think. So when I was younger, I wanted to be a musician for a while. I was a singer. There was a point in the 90s, late 90s, where I wanted to be in a boy band. Can I maybe still do? There was a point where I auditioned for Pop Idol. It
Pop
was
stars.
yeah. That was a while ago now. But yeah, so I started off. I always sort of had that, and I started off more academic. I think just because it was the done thing. It was kind of more what my very pragmatic father sort of wanted me to do. So I was in IT for a while, and that's where I started. I went to university, and I was doing computing,
Wow.
and then had a trip to America. We went to Vegas, but ultimately the sort of catalyst when I was in LA and I met. Long story short, because it is a long story, met some people in the business and sort of caught the bug. Started talking about it. Started getting really interested in it. All sounded very glamorous and interesting.
Amazing.
And yeah, and it sort of kind of went away. And I remember specifically sitting on the plane thinking, it does sound like something I would like to sort of give a go.
Give a wee
And I
go.
gave it a go. So I did a bit of a U-turn. I dropped out. Didn't drop out uni. I finished my first year, but then auditioned for drama school, all the rest of it, and yeah,
So you
found
just
that I really,
answered
really
my
loved
next
it.
question, actually. So I was going to ask, was there like a defining moment where it kind of moved from being a passion and a hobby into really being like your career?
There were a lot of turning points. It wasn't simple, and it's not easy.
Mm.
You need to have a lot of patience. You need to have a lot of faith in yourself. You need to work very hard at it. It's not a job that comes easily to most people.
Mm.
You need to, you need to take a lot of rejection. You need to accept a lot of failure.
Mm.
So, it sort of it took a while to click, and there were times where I almost gave it up. There were lots of times I almost gave it up. Once I graduated, I think there was a whole year where I barely had an audition, and at that point, I thought, well, I gave it a go, and I think I'm kind of like that anyway. I'll give anything that sort of that I develop any sort of interest in, I'll take a fancy, and I'll give it a go and see where it goes. And at that point, I thought, well, this just hasn't really worked out, so I tried my best. And at that point, I think I was starting to look at a career in banking.
Bless.
I was working at the Royal Bank of Scotland, and they've got really quite a cool sort of. They're really sort of investors in people. I'm not trying to plug Royal Bank of Scotland, by the way, but I'd started to look at their career paths, and they had one through IT, and sort of cybersecurity and all that sort of thing, in their IT department. I thought that sounds really interesting. I could have a go at that.
Yeah.
But anyway, I managed to sort of some things sort of happened by chance. I ended up with some really cool theatre work, and one thing led to another. Got a new agent, and I suppose the rest is sort of history. But there were a few sort of turning points, crossroads, I think, where things could have gone quite different.
Totally
So
different.
there wasn't one single moment. There was one single moment where I decided I was going to have a stab at it, but I think,
Tell me about that.
well, it was when I was on the plane on the way back from LA, and I thought, I think I could do this. I think I could do this. Having had no experience in it, I wasn't in youth theatre. I hadn't really done it at school. In fact, I failed drama at school.
Wow.
I took drama in high school and music. It turns out both things that I was actually really deep down interested in. Music, particularly, I started playing the drums quite young and now play the guitar. So I had an aptitude for it and an interest in it. But I failed music and drama in high school.
Wow.
Both of them. I think I joined drama because all the girls were doing drama, right? I think that's
Fantastic
often a reason. I think that's often the reason that boys, 14 and 15-year-old boys, choose to do drama. Also, I'd heard through the grapevine at school that it was an absolute dodge
Oh,
of
yeah.
a subject.
Ideal.
At a time when, for some reason, everyone's trying to dodge education at school. It seemed to be, it's come quite a working class background and school, and I think that seems to be the motive for a lot of your reasoning and choices at school, which will be the easiest. But I came back, and my brother was my younger brother Colin. He was sort of in between things. I think he was actually he was predominantly into football, and he was having tryouts at various places, Queen's Park and things like that. And I was kind of I was putting a lot of thought into it, and I said to him, "What are you doing after the summer?"
Mm.
And he was like, I don't know, probably just focusing on my football. Why? And I was like, do you fancy giving acting a go?
Hmm.
And he was like, I don't even know if, can we act? I was like, well, I don't know, let's find out. And I pulled a book off my dad's bookshelf. I say bookshelf, that sounds very fancy. It was like one of those stand in the corner bookshelves. It was like Frederick Forsyth or something, and I opened it somewhere in the middle. I was like, let's read this scene. It's not a scene, it's a book, right? So it's obviously the wrong format to begin with. So we sort of we picked a sort of a chunk of text in it, and we sort of performed it at each other, with my dad sort of off vaguely, sort of listening in, wondering what the hell we're doing. And we decided that we were quite good at it. We were like, yeah, we've got this. So we both started drama school at the same time.
Wow.
We were in the same year. We got in that year. I think in my first year of acting, I think I was probably pretty awful. Didn't really have a clue what I was doing. But I loved it. And I had I developed an absolute passion for it. And that really sort of drove me to understand it and get better at it and work on it. But also understand what it is to be an actor.
That's deep, actually, and
it's a bit too deep, actually.
No, it's not. It's actually brilliant, because that's what this show is totally about, trying to help our friends, family, viewers to level up, right? And part of leveling up, part of reaching your full potential, is understanding the challenges that you have to overcome. Understanding, when you were talking, I was hearing patience, resilience, perseverance, belief in yourself. These are the key things that you don't often get to spend enough time understanding when, where, how, at what stage. Because I think a lot of the time when you are a person, young or old, and you want to, I don't know, maybe you want to be an actor or a fashion model or whatever it is, but you're only seeing the end result. So you're seeing the polished end result when the person,
absolutely, yeah,
gets to, when they reach the pinnacle of success, which I actually feel a bit in today's modern society, the impact of AI and automation kind of means that you're almost overwhelmed or flooded with that end stage.
Yeah, and it's not even true. It's like Instagram versus reality, isn't it? It's that very polished, shiny version of something that people are actively putting out that they want you to see. There's this perfect image of things that doesn't actually exist behind the scenes. And it's that thing that people are striving to become or striving to achieve. And a lot of these are the inspirations for a lot of people. And sometimes that's great. And sometimes that will drive you to a career and a life or something very fulfilling.
Yes.
But sometimes it's quite detrimental when you realise that if you do get there, and sometimes depending on what it is, that journey can be incredibly difficult, taxing, just, you know, sort of
mentally, physically.
100%. You know, and you get there and you realise that actually it's not the thing that you were told. It's not the thing that you saw.
Yeah.
And actually, a lot of these people are miserable. It's a funny thing, isn't it?
Like,
this culture,
you know.
Yeah, this shiny pop culture. It's but it is a thing, and it's a huge part of our world, isn't it, at the moment?
It is very much so indeed, and I think that there's so many benefits to it, especially in terms of being able to reach out to people and just getting access to like things that you might not otherwise get to see, consume, be part of. But at the same time, I do kind of feel a bit like I could use like a totally different example. Like, let's just say music. So I work with like a lot of young people and I run a bunch of youth clubs and stuff. And we use music a lot to kind of help with like this sort of like just the person's life and growing and exploring. Because I really feel that art can transform lives, not art can save lives.
Yeah.
So, cut a long story short, I've got some young people and they've been making music and they're really good. But when I kind of made them do like a live showcase, because I needed them to understand there is a difference between performing to like kind of people that you know in a safe environment at home and performing live in front of an audience, you know?
Yeah.
And it was so interesting because when I took them, let's say like 3 out of the young people still continue to even do it out of the 10. Right?
Yeah.
So when it came to actually doing it in real life, it was like a different experience. And I think that totally like backs up what we're probably touching upon just now.
100%, yeah. And there's a point I think where that flips too. I think there was a point in my own career where I would much rather have had an audience full of strangers than family and friends.
100%.
And there's that night where if you're doing a theatre show, for example, and then all of a sudden you've got friends in, you feel a much more. So I do anyway. Often feel much more of a pressure because I'm like, oh my god, eyes are on me. I said, well, you've had eyes on you every night.
I once starred in this theatre production. I was quite happy about it because I wanted to know if I had what it took to like play a main character, which to me means can I crunch an entire script and memorize it in my brain? So that was the test for me, more so than even doing the production. But it was really mental because the person I was playing came and I was like, this is too much pressure. And I'd been performing it multiple times, but I was just like, oh my god, what if they don't like it? What if they think that I'm not that good? What if they're like, this isn't realistic?
What I think it actually is really is that it brings you out of it.
True.
I think what it does is it makes you more conscious, more aware.
Yes.
Whereas otherwise you might just be able to get into it.
Yes.
You know, and sort of, you know, be in the moment of the thing. And if you've got people in, friends, family, whatever, people of importance,
they'll remind you of the reality.
Yeah, it just makes you very aware that you have an audience sitting looking at you, and I think maybe it just pulls you out of the thing a bit more, rather than it being that, you know, their opinion of you or what they think of your performance or whatever it is you're doing has any more weight. I think it's just that it pulls you just slightly out of being in the thing, maybe.
Totally. Especially like
I'm in on stage and I'm in the theatre and there's an audience there and my friends are in it.
Right.
Yeah.
My friends, they're more likely to heckle me. She's was eating Weetabix this morning, they're listening and she's got to say. I don't know, just the maths of the thing, you know. Is there any like kind of lessons and things that you learned through your career that have really shaped you as a person or vice versa in life?
I mean, yeah, like we were talking about earlier, I think it certainly teaches you patience. I think because you have to have it. But I think you're tested on so many different ways. And as you start a career early on as an actor or a creative or anything, I think these things, your resilience is quite fragile, I think. Your patience, your persistence, your self-worth sometimes, you know? I think people frequently have imposter syndrome. I know I do, and certainly did quite early on.
For sure.
And you start to put, I think, too much value in other people's opinion of you.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, did they like that? Did they think what I was doing
like
was
a
good?
reviewer, for example?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And everyone's a critic, aren't they? But then I think once you start to allow yourself to be in a place where you're kind of doing it more for yourself and having more of an appreciation for what you're doing and what you're bringing to it, and knowing and, you know, asking yourself the question, are you being honest? Are you being truthful? Are you bringing to this thing what you want to? Is this fulfilling you?
Yes.
I think it frees you up a lot more than being so sort of pinned down by what everyone else thinks of you. So I think that's the biggest thing, or, you know, certainly something that I've taken away from having been in the business for a few years now, is sort of, being in a place where I feel like I can do it more for me than for, you know, those people that are judging you. Obviously, it's for an audience, it's for consumption, theatre and television, are for those people, and you're telling a story, and it is for those people. But I mean, those people that you often feel are above you.
Yes.
And I think maybe that's a working class thing, though.
It might be, you know, because that's definitely something that I have that has affected me sometimes as well, you know.
It's always that proving your worth sometimes, right? And always having those people above having that sort of critique of you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually, like, well, that's not really
what it's about.
You're not really what I'm doing this for.
True.
I'm doing this for me, and I'm doing it for those people that are going to, you know, hear that story, watch that thing, be part of it.
So true. It's a long story, but I wrote and directed a stand-up comedy show which I performed at the Stand, and it actually sold out. And I'd never done comedy before.
Wow.
And I know, right?
Terrifies me. Stand-up
there by like John Bishop and Catherine Ryan. It's a whole other conversation. But the point is that I did this show, it sold out, it made money and all that, which I think is quite a big deal at the Fringe.
Oh, yeah.
But I got like all these great reviews from like Comedy Store and like Real Comedy, like like actual comedy Bibles. And then I got this one review from I wouldn't say specifically who from. It wasn't like, it was, and I don't know why, I find it so upsetting. And then I think I was on like the Clive Anderson show or something, and I was like asking him for his advice because he's a legend and he's old school, do you know what I mean? And he was just like, Eunice, well, he didn't say it in this accent. It was more like posh kind of English. Eunice, darling, is it selling out? Is it sold out? Are the people there? And I was like, yes, it's sold out. There are people there. They're coming. They're having a good time. He says that. He says, I think you should focus on that. Focus on that. And I was like, it was kind of like an epiphany.
Yeah,
in my mind, because I'd totally forgotten about all these people that are coming, paying money, enjoying it, and I'm prioritizing like one person.
And also, what a huge achievement that is to do that.
And it was so annoying because I probably should have told people it was my first ever time doing stand-up comedy. I probably should have called it a work in progress. He probably would have gave me a much better review.
But that's amazing. That's really living outside your comfort zone.
Oh man,
like, what am I going to do this? I'm going to be a stand-up comic.
I know. I just,
because it's such a difficult thing.
You know what? I really enjoy difficulty, and it actually brings me to my next question for you. But I do really enjoy doing things that challenge me. That I think, you know, I'm probably more well known for working in fashion, and I think that one of the downsides to that is people will think that you're quite one-dimensional. that you have a lot of privilege and that you maybe don't have that much other talent. And so I think that in combination with all of these kind of intersectional things that affect me, like growing up in West Wales, poverty, like all these things. People will be like, oh, I don't want to get into that, but I've always found that I need to do things like 1,000 times bigger and better than anyone else just to get the same basic level of interest in my work. So, but the stand-up comedy show for me was the first time in my life or recent history that I felt I could really connect and talk directly to the audience. And it really, it was like it revolutionized my entire understanding of art. It reignited my passion for art, for performance. It also taught me that, like you need to do this for like 10 years, to be good at it.
Yeah.
Because there was so many things that I learned while doing it.
Yeah.
Just like one night everyone comes in and they're all, mature audience and definitely don't know who Rihanna is. They don't know who Skepta is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So one has to like rewrite your entire routine on the spot while you're on the stage to try and make it funny. And I was like, wow, there's a lot of times where stand on the stage thinking to myself, like, okay, yeah, it does help if you've done this for about 10 years,
Oh, yeah.
Because by then you just know, like, the different directions and stuff. But, yeah, it was more just about demonstrating and proving to myself that I actually am good enough. Do you know what I mean? To be able to do, because sometimes when you're listening too much to the outside world, you can really start to doubt yourself and then feeling like 100%. An imposter and those things. But anyway, there's something really interesting that you were saying, and you've played a lot of really complex characters. I'm really interested in how you approach that and how, to get into those characters and those characters' lives, it must almost, is it part of you? Is there characters that stay with you? I'm really interested in that.
Yeah, to a certain extent. And I think it depends on what it is and how, I don't know, emotionally involved, attached to it you are. I mean, you should be doing things, ultimately you want to be doing things that interest or resonate with you anyway, but I think the more that they do, I think the more that they sort of stick with you.
Yes.
But you're really bringing much of yourself to the part and not really the other way about, right? So I don't really find myself having too much difficulty detaching from most things. I think I can kind of leave it,
I feel like when you're on screen, you have a kind of quiet intensity. Like, where does that come from?
I think that comes from thinking. I don't think that's something that I do. I don't think. I mean, I think it is something that maybe I do, but I don't think it's something I'm actively doing.
Yes.
I think what I try to do is be present, and that's such a difficult thing.
It is.
For an actor. I think it's what you want to be doing, but noise. I think so. Am I being good? Do I look good? How do I look on camera?
Yes.
Am I turning the right way?
Yes.
It's like if you can sort of if you can shift away from that, I think, and just sort of listen and be thinking, I think it's just there because you're not trying to do other things, right?
Yes.
So I think maybe it's that. I think.
It's really, really interesting. Is there oh man, I was getting so into what you were saying that you just totally made me forget what I wanted to ask. Well, yeah, I do remember. But in terms then of role, so you said that, well, you didn't actually say, but my interpretation of what you said is that how much the roles affect you really depends on your level of personal connection to it. So instead of that, then I'm quite interested to know, is there any particular roles that you've played that you just loved and are just like what are some of the roles currently or previously that have really, you did them and you felt like, yeah, I've arrived?
I mean, there's been a few. I've been quite fortunate in the work that I've had. Some of the most memorable, I think, and I could talk all day about this, Eunice, honestly. I did a play called The Pillowman at the Citizens Theatre not too long after I'd graduated. And we had an amazing cast with Ian DeCasco, who's an incredible actor, Kevin Maines. My brother actually originally was in it, Colin. And it was written by Martin McDonagh. It was very dark, sort of, it's sort of a story set in this totalitarian state. And I won't get too much into the story because it was a 3.5 hour, 3-act long play, but the writing was just so good. And when when you have writing that you can just quite easily dive into, that just flows and has is you know, a certain a rhythm and you know, flavor to it, it's so enjoyable to perform. And I think his work is just, yeah, incredible. So that was one of my first sort of big moments of thinking, I love this is great. And when you can do, I know, you know, a 3.5 hour long play and it doesn't feel particularly taxing on you, you walk away from it thinking, I absolutely loved that tonight, it was amazing.
That's amazing.
Then you know that you're sort of where you should be. And the next one, I think, after that, was a play called Black Watch. Did you see it when it was out?
I think I did, yeah.
Yeah, so it was a play about the Black Watch Regiment fighting Tayside, and in particular a squad of their soldiers who were deployed to Afghanistan. It was based on a true story. It was written by Gregory Burke, and it was commissioned by National Theatre of Scotland. Vicky Featherston, who was artistic director of National Theatre of Scotland at the time, decided that this was an important story.
Yes.
Because it was ultimately about the futility of war, right?
Yes.
And the experience of these boys. And three of these boys were killed in an IED explosion in the story. And it was all about, well, why are they there? What is this?
Yes.
And you sort of dive into that story, and you're sort of seeing through the eyes of these boys, both at home. So intercuts, sort of, it kind of runs in tandem with a sort of present day, and then flashing back to their time at war. And you sort of come to the realization that they don't even know why they're there. They're just doing their job and doing what they're told to do. And then you see the absolute sort of futility and horror and how unnecessary it is, and why are we even involved in this, and what are the real driving factors, what are people actually after politically and economically, what's driving it. And you realise that a lot of the truth of the matter is that it's all for, you know, it's all coming from
not the right
reasons that don't benefit anyone other than, you know, people profiting from it in some way. But anyway, that play again was something that we did I did it on and off for about 3 years, but the first tour was 9 months long.
Wow.
And I honestly felt like I could do it every single night. It was so beautifully written and made.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah, it had some incredible set pieces in it as well.
I think I saw that. Was it quite a long time ago?
I think we started it in 2010.
Yeah.
It was directed by John Tiffany. Yeah, it was lovely. It was great. It was a career-defining experience for me.
Amazing. I think that one of the things that I love about Scotland and Scottish artistry, whether it's theatre, whatever else, is that we've got this really powerful kind of storytelling culture. Do you think that that is something that has kind of impacted the type of roles that you do? I suppose what I'm trying to ask is that a lot of Scotland's culture and stories and traditions, I think, are still encapsulated in storytelling and in folklore to a certain extent. And when I think of theatre and acting, I always automatically also think of writing and the fact that we have such a rich tradition of incredible writers and storytellers. So I'm quite keen to find out how much of that, or if there are specific people. I'm also still interested in hearing more stories on the previous question, but I do want to find out if there's any particular people, they don't have to be in film, that are storytellers that have influenced you in your work.
I mean, it's what we do, right? And it's what, as an actor, as a performer, and being in the business, but also having, a genuine sort of love and passion for it. Then you're invested in it every day, so you're absorbing storytelling from, I suppose, everywhere.
Yes.
All of the time. So I don't think there's anything specific. But I love ideas. I love hearing new ideas. I love hearing people who are doing new writing.
Yes.
I love people who have stories that aren't been told. I love people who have shots who are hoping to get stories out for the sake, not for any other reason than they think it's important.
Yes.
Or they think there's value in people hearing about traditions or history or Scottish history or stories about the islands and Highlands. And we do have a very, we have a deep sort of historical tradition of storytelling and folklore.
Yes.
And I think that's because we have such an incredibly long, rich history. And that is how stories are passed on, isn't it? That's how
and I think
we inherit those.
Yeah.
I think those stories, and I think we've all just always innately had that in us, that sort of ability and desire to
tell stories.
Yeah.
It's just, I just started thinking about that because when you were talking about the Black Watch and just thinking about the visceral nature of that topic that you guys were negotiating, and thinking about the world and where we are today, and I'm thinking like maybe storytelling is even more necessary and even more needed in society today, particularly when it's told through humans, through human movement, through human bodies, voices, because we are so overwhelmed, I think, with technology that I hope that we won't lose that,
I hope not.
I
mean, I think it's always been as important as it is. Theatre essentially started as a way to pass information, to teach people things, to to have a sort of a commentary on, current affairs and what was going on in the world, right? And also to have an opinion on that. So I think that's always been a very important thing. And like you say, in Scotland, for example, it's a way of teaching and passing on information through generations and teaching lessons generationally, isn't it? But someone was telling me recently there's this second screen. It has to be catered to people who are going to be sitting, flicking through Instagram or Twitter or whatever.
Don't you think that's true? I actually, it is true. It's true from the perspective potentially of people who really do work in the traditional mainstream media that's long form. But I would disagree with that. And I say it because after thorough reconnaissance and understanding of the population of consumption and growing up in a pretty hardcore council estate, my own thoughts are quite different. My own thoughts are actually that television potentially has become so sanitized and so predictable and so gatekept and so I like you, but I don't like you, so I'm going to have you, that people just don't want to, they want a level of authenticity that they can't really access. And I think that's why we've had this massive explosion of reality TV and, whether it's shows from Gogglebox to Love Island, it's like people clearly would rather watch real people. It doesn't need to be Like, you don't need to be flavor of the month. You don't need to be someone that everybody thinks everybody likes. And I think that's where we're getting it really wrong. Because I think a lot of the time, certainly in telly, not necessarily in acting, that's a different conversation, but in terms of like presenting and broadcasting, obviously there is skill that's necessary, but it's much more flexible. And I think that the audience at home, you know, if you're putting somebody up and they're talking about a certain topic, now with social media, if that person's not really like the dawn of that topic, people are going to know. There's other people online that really know about that topic, that really know about X, Y, and Z. And I think that part of it is to do with people kind of just being in a bit of a bubble. You know,
absolutely.
It's not like intentional
Bubbles
or
everywhere.
deliberate. You know what I mean? I just think that people, they think they're not necessarily always in touch with like what everyday people really want to see.
So also people live in these bubbles, these little ecospheres all over the place, and they think that the truth of that bubble is the truth.
Yes.
Because they're not getting access to things out with their own little sort of environment, right? Their own little bubble. And it's such a thing, and it's a very deliberate thing as well.
Yeah, it is. And I think that means that from that perspective, I can understand it, because you're wanting to hook people in as quickly as possible. You want to make sure that they stop and engage. Whereas like when someone creates a piece of content that people really want to watch, people just watch it. It doesn't need to be edited right. It doesn't have to have, like, I think the Nigerian film industry is the most amazing example of this. I thought you were my brother. I've exposed everything here. So I think Nollywood is the third biggest media industry in the world. There's Hollywood, Bollywood, then Nollywood.
Yeah.
And basically a lot of Nigerian films have poor sound. Like, you can literally hear the mic peaking.
Really?
Sometimes you can
Popping
see the
and
boom
scratching.
coming into shot. Like, sometimes like it just changes colour. And sometimes these films last 3 hours long.
Wow.
On average, people will watch them. They're extremely popular. It's so popular that there's like Nigerian films making it onto Amazon and Netflix that have sound and issues.
Wow.
But no one cares because the content is so engaging. Some of the actors are so phenomenal that you're just like, some of their child actors are amazing. And you're like, you don't care. Like, you'll just watch it. So I definitely feel that it's about the content more than actually anything else. So I think they need to go a bit back to the drawing board.
There's just so much content, though, isn't there?
Yeah.
Nothing feels very specific anymore.
Yeah, it's true. It's
and then you get the amount of distraction that's out there from other things that are actually important or
Well,
worth
that's
seeing
what
or
I
worth
was
watching, or international film and cinema you get distracted by. I don't know.
You're trying to hook people in to watch something, but it's like there's no. I was
like, how many times have you sat? I don't know if you do this. I do, and I know many people do. We'll sit down. It's always when I've got something to eat, but I need to watch something with the thing that I'm going to eat. So
yes.
I'll sit there and I'll start the home screen to like Netflix or whatever, and I'm like, I realise I'm one of these bloody consumers now, and I'll flick through and I'm like, no, I don't want this, I don't want this, I don't want this. Maybe later I'll add that to my watch list, and you're scrolling down and like 20 minutes have gone by and you haven't watched anything yet,
and your
food's getting cold, you're like, I can't eat this until I've found the thing I want to watch, and you're like spend half an hour sitting there because it's just too much. It's just so broad and nothing feels either important, relevant, or particularly specific. That's very broad strokes, right? There's obviously a lot of good, interesting,
yes, but
content.
there is,
but trying to find it,
a lot is too much.
It can be quite overwhelming. Yeah,
there's so.
And sometimes I feel like, is this what they want us to do? Is sit here and scroll through
I think
their screen?
I think
they don't want us to watch the stuff. They just want us to scroll through the screen.
The whole MO of modern society is like, how can we just keep them here?
You become the currency.
Yeah, it's literally like, how long can I prove that this person has been on this page? Then I can go and get like sponsorship from like advertising.
It's kind of things I think about when I'm on like social media or whatever, and I do. Sometimes I think it's invented by the devil. And you get something that is relatively new, you maybe haven't seen before, and you sit and you're like, oh my god, if I look at this for too long, then the rest of my feed's going to be this. For about a month.
Yeah. basically. Oh, it's mental. It's totally mental what's going on. But on that topic then, let me ask you, is there like if you could literally like have a wee chat, a wee cup of tea, a wee bit of shortbread with any director, past, present, or future, who would it be and why?
So this, I'm having a cup of tea and a shortbread with
Any
a director that I want to have a cup of tea and a shortbread with, or a director that I want to work with.
Work with and mentor or mentor.
Do you know Thomas Anderson or Wes Anderson?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Legends.
Yeah, I mean, I think their stuff's just so original. I think Paul Thomas Anderson invents these bizarre worlds that somehow seem rooted in a reality. I watched Punch Drunk Love not that long ago, with it's Adam Sandler, isn't it? There's a scene where a piano just appears, like I think it gets thrown out the back of a van, or it drops out the sky or something. Can't remember which, but I remember thinking, and the character, Adam Sandler's character, comes across this at one point and doesn't give it too much time, and I remember thinking, what is the point in that? But then I sit and think, what if we just had these things on a show, TV show, film, or whatever? It's the most random thing that's never really explained. It's never really particularly explained. And I think that's kind of what he does. It's like things that can and do happen that don't necessarily need to be overly explained or spoon-fed.
True.
But there's something just quite abstract about his work that I think is just brilliant. But at the same time, it doesn't go too much in that direction where you're like, well, this is just nonsense. You somehow feel connected to it, and it feels like it has some sort of weird truth about it. And Wes Anderson, I just love for his creative style.
Yes.
The colours that he uses, the stillness that he has, the characters all have this sort of otherworldliness about them. So I like that because it's unique, original. No one else is doing work like they do, so they very much have their own stamp on it. It's very individual.
Yes.
Like you can watch a Wes Anderson thing and go, that's clearly a Wes Anderson film, and you can do the same with Paul Thomas Anderson. You can go, that's clearly a PTA film.
I love that.
Yeah, so they're kind of big. I mean, I love Baz Luhrmann because I loved Moulin Rouge. I loved Romeo and Juliet.
Yes.
But Steven Spielberg was a big one for me when I was younger. I think perhaps if Steven Spielberg hadn't existed, I'm not sure I would be an actor. I
agree.
I mean, they're all very commercial, right? Hugely successful. Things like, I'm not going to ask what age you are, but I'm wondering, I'm probably a good bit older than you, but things when I was growing up, Jurassic Park was huge for me. A lot of Steven Spielberg's earlier stuff was so informative for me as a kid growing up. The imagination, and a lot of his short stories and things that he made. He's such a dreamer, and I love that. Just his imagination.
Yes.
And it sort of inspires you to want to access that level of imagining. Do you know what I mean? And it does push you to sort of kind of go, have a kind of a look inside and sort of fire up a bit of creativity of your own, I think. So can I have a dinner party with them?
I want to come.
Great. Yeah. Let's do it.
That's so cool. I want to be there. Let's do it. Yeah, cool. I want to talk about Outlander. Like, what is it like? How long you've been doing it? Start with that.
Right, I've been doing it now, I think since my first edition, it's probably been 10 years plus. That's a big chunk of my life, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, it's at least half. At least half, maybe more, but let's say at least half.
Okay, and what is it like? Like, what is it like? Because to me, right, living in Scotland, growing up in Scotland, when that show first started, I was like, oh, this is so cool, because you don't get a lot of shows nowadays that are about, like, that time in Scottish history. There's quite a lot of films but not like modern series. So I just want to know like what that's like. What is it like? What is it like?
Nothing on that scale, I think, had been done in Scotland. Kind of about Scotland. I don't think Outlander, when it came along, was a huge undertaking, and the impact that show has had has been enormous.
It's amazing.
Scotland. It's been incredible. On tourism alone in Scotland, that show has had an extraordinary impact. The amount of people that come and visit Scotland because they started watching Outlander is way beyond what I ever could have imagined that it was, right? It takes up a considerable percentage of annual Scottish tourism now, as people coming and doing Outlander tours. And it's stunning. Some of the Scottish landscape,
Amazing.
countryside, Highlands, like wherever you go, it's stunning and it's inspiring. And I remember early on, season 2 into 3, visiting some of these locations. I started off my character was in quite a domestic 1960s setting, so a lot of it was in the studio. But when we started exploring and getting taken out to, various parts of kind of Scottish Highlands, I just remember being, because it's on your doorstep, right? It's just kind of your back garden, and you don't really, some reason, you get a bit of time off, and your first thought is, let's go to Grand Canary. There's so much escape there.
I know.
And I remember realising that, thinking, God, Scotland is truly
amazing,
breathtaking.
It really is.
And since having started on the show, I've been around the country to various parts of Scotland that I don't think I otherwise would have, not to that extent. And I do it regularly, all the time. I find myself.
That's my dream job, basically.
You can go and visit all these places too. It's easy.
That's not you deflecting now.
But that is my point.
It's true. So you love Outlander because it's amazing and you get to really engage and spend time in some of the most remarkable places in Scotland, which sounds amazing. And like, so costumes, what is that like? The whole, I want you to tell me about, okay, describe like a day on set on Outlander. Like, what is it like? What do you have to do when you come in and stuff?
A day on set, okay.
Yes.
Well, more often than not, you're going to have a very early call. Say 5 o'clock. Maybe it's average, right? Sometimes it can be earlier, sometimes it's going to be later. I'll get in the car, I'll probably try and look at my lines for the day and fall asleep. So I'll arrive at unit base. A lot of the times on Outlander, right? Because, we're very privileged to have someone take you to set, right?
Yes.
Or take you to base anyway. And then you'll have someone obviously take you off onto set. But a lot of the times it would become so routine. And this is the thing, you do have a slight complacency about your environment, I think. Because a lot of the times I would just arrive at where they took me.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Be like, where am I? I know I've been driving for roughly an hour and 15 minutes, but I was asleep for an hour of that. And then you're at unit base. You're not really clocking the fact that unit base is about 150 miles away from where it was yesterday.
Right.
And then you arrive on set and you're like, yeah, literally. You're like in this stunning valley surrounded by mountains and, whatever. And you're like, oh, wait, I didn't realise we were filming here today. And you've just arrived sort of oblivious actor sometimes, right? Because you get because sometimes we film from 9 months to a year, right?
It's hardcore, man. It's hardcore.
So you do get into this rhythm of just rocking up to work. And then I think back and I go, oh my God, I was so like, sometimes I think you could have taken a bit more time to take all of that in.
Yes.
But sometimes there's a magic in that, right? That sentiment, looking back and going, no, I do appreciate that. Maybe I didn't so much on that day, but I do now.
In retrospect.
Anyway, I digress. So then I would get, rock up at your trailer, maybe have a cup of coffee, you go into makeup, I'd fall asleep again.
Bless. I can imagine
I'd fall asleep through most of my makeup
done, and it's very gentle.
But my co-star, Sophie, who plays Brianna, if I was awake, I'd be drumming on things. because I used to play drums, so I'd be drumming on anything and making little drum kits, and I'd usually steal a couple of makeup brushes, and she'd just be sitting there like pulling her hair out. She'd be like, can you not? For 5 minutes, can you not? And I'd be like,
Stay still.
Well, in that case, I'm just going to go to sleep. And I'd fall asleep and I'd lie back in my makeup chair. And I'd be told that I'd be, lying there. Because sometimes if we were wearing wigs, which we often were, that could add an hour, right?
Yeah. I can imagine.
I think for me it was about an hour. I think for the girls it could often be much, much more, right? They had definitely had...
Nails must be intense.
Yeah.
Corsets and clothes.
And corsets for them.
Hair.
Luckily, I didn't have to do most of that, but I was still an hour in there.
Yeah.
And I'd be lying there sort of purring away. Sophie'd be like, if you're not drumming, you're snoring.
Aww.
So I feel bad. She had about 8 or 9 years in a makeup truck.
Bless.
With me. So then you get into costume, which depending on where our characters were, sometimes our characters were in the 60s or 70s, and sometimes we were in the 1800s. 1700s, so 18th century. So you get into very different costumes depending on what the story was that day.
Who's your favourite? I probably shouldn't ask this because there shouldn't really be any favouritisation, but who do you think that you have the most laugh with on set? Could be actor, could be director, producer, could be the DOP.
Because sometimes it led to just absolute chaos, mayhem, when Sam, Ewan, Katrina Balfe, Sophie, Skelton and I were in a scene together, the 4 of us. It just descended into utter nonsense.
I could imagine.
To the point where no one can get a take, no one can look each other in the eye because you just see that peak, that sort of crack in the face. And Sam and I were probably most guilty this particular time of, corpsing and just spontaneously erupting into laughter. But there was a point where I remember Christina turning round to the director and saying, because I don't think we had any lines, or if we did, they weren't, for some reason, she felt that they maybe weren't particularly necessary that she heard them. And she turned to the director and she says, do we actually need these 2 on set right now? Because I think the shot was on her.
Yeah.
I think Sam and I had done our coverage.
Yeah. And
the director was like, obviously not wanting to explicitly say, can you 2 leave?
Right.
But we got the hint. It was like, you want us to leave set? So anyway, Sam and I basically got ejected from the set.
Nice.
But the thing is, we were still outside.
Still.
We're crying with laughter. And I don't even think we knew why. I'm not even sure we thought we knew why. But anyway, in the set, the house that we were on Fraser's Ridge is it's obviously, largely built within the confines of the sound studio. And there are windows there.
Yes.
So Sam and I could still creep up.
That's cool.
The windows while they were doing their take.
That's cool. And aye.
Making faces through the windows and stuff. It was just nonsense. So when the 4 of us were together, I don't think any of us, I think we found it really hard to take anything seriously.
Yes, I can imagine.
And there was a lot of looking down and looking everywhere but at each other.
Oh, bless. That sounds so fun. It's fun
at the point where you're like, I don't even know why I'm laughing.
Yeah, I love
and you realise you're taking up everyone's time. You're prolonging the day.
Yeah.
You're not getting the takes that you need to get.
Home.
No one's getting their work done. No one else finds it funny. But when you're on take 10 and the crew want to go home, they're just like, oh my God, will you guys just
focus?
Stop
all this shenanigans and fun.
You're very aware of that after a while.
Right.
Doing it, you're very aware that no one else finds it.
Nah, we're spending hundreds of thousands of pounds.
And even there's a point where even you don't find it's funny anymore, but you're still laughing. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I love Sam. I got to work with him years ago. Not acting. I was doing a thing for a charity, and I don't know if you know, but I'm a massive promoter of sustainable fashion. And I opened a shop in St Enoch's Centre, and I gave all the clothes away to charity.
Wow.
But it was fine because I got all my mates who are really famous fashion designers to give me the clothes for free anyway.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So then and then some stuff we auctioned and raised money for some local charities in Scotland, some children's charities I work with. So very kind guy. So yous are all legends to me, and I absolutely love Outlander. I'm a massive fan. I was going to ask you why it's not on the regular telly, but I feel like that's not a question for you. I need to ask somebody else that question.
Yeah, I feel like maybe someone else has that one.
Yeah. So that is probably the only reason that I'm not fully
It's
up
on
to
Channel
date.
4, right? But it's like seasons ago.
Yeah,
It came on Channel
it's
4 at a point.
old.
It's still running on that, is it?
But I don't understand because it's literally one of the best Scottish TV shows I've ever seen in my life. And I swear when I first started watching it, it was not on the regular telly.
No,
like I
it was
had
on.
to go on
It
some
was on. I think it
website,
started on Amazon Prime or something.
or something. And like the thing was, I fell out of love with Amazon because like they didn't deliver my wardrobe properly, and I canceled my subscription. Do you know what I mean? I should not be penalized and not like get to watch my favorite show because I don't want to be like on Amazon. So I was just like, what? Why is like the best ever Scottish TV show?
You need to buy the DVD. That's still a thing, is it? Is that still a thing we do? DVDs? I don't even have a DVD player. I don't know why I'm saying this.
I promote and support all old technology. I'm really into it. Like I am so sad that I literally rescued my mum's thing that's got the thing, and then I've got like decks
What thing
and stuff
that's got the
still.
thing?
It's like
That's not going to translate on radio.
I know.
Please. The thing that's got the thing.
But I do like it because it's got a really big kind of like gramophone, and I'm like very into old technology, and I literally like turn them on like once a year at Christmas because it's the only time I remember to do it, just to make sure that they still work. But I don't like have the like right stuff to like actually be able to use them. But I also have like decks and stuff. I'm like really into vinyl. I hardly ever play it. Again,
Yeah, no, I did. I do
you
the
know
same
what I mean?
thing. I went through a bit of a phase. Some people obviously do it as a lifelong passion.
Yes.
I said I want vinyl.
I love
Vinyl. I've
it.
got a player. I've hooked it up to like speakers and my wireless speakers that I can play around the house. And it was, I think for about 3 days I was putting vinyl on, swapping over the records, and then I quite quickly gave up the effort of having to. It seems like such an effort now that you can stream everything, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So I have to go into the living room and I have to open the lid and I have to stop the thing.
It's
And
better
I have
though.
to take out the plastic.
It is
disc
better.
and
We're
I
just
have to
all
put it on.
addicts. We're all addicts. Like I
But it's the speed at
literally-
which you can receive information now, right?
Yeah, but I've gone off technology because I recently lost my wallet, and it was so messed up because this really nice girl returned it back to me, and if I had actually checked my technology quicker, I would have saw her DM message. She found my wallet, she brought my wallet back to me, but the bank did not care and cancelled all of my cards. And I was traveling to Europe to shoot, so I had no bank cards. So I was like, okay, let me do Apple Pay. And then my phone ran out of battery, and I was like, I was like, I don't have a bank card. I'm in a foreign country. The bank has turned off my cards because I stupidly admitted to them that someone like found my wallet, which does make sense, and they're supposed to do it, right?
They are supposed to do it, but I've never understood why they can't just uncancel.
Exactly.
Well, you cancelled it. You just press the button and it cancelled my card. Great, and I appreciate that because I had lost my cards, but I found my card.
Yes.
Can you just make that card work again?
Yes.
I'll bet you they can.
I bet they can. They just choose not to. So I did go on a really serious rant when I was on a ferry in the Netherlands, like to myself in the sea, where I was refused to use technology again, and I was literally using it again. But it did make me seriously think, like, actually, I'm not sure that it's a good idea to be so dependent on.
Well, you're going to have to go back to gold then, aren't you?
Well, I'm obsessed.
I mean, debit cards in their own right is technology.
Yeah, I don't want that. I just want
technology.
bullion.
Yeah, it's just gold
Give me the
gold
bullion.
coins. Yeah,
Coins, crown jewels.
yeah.
I'm taking it all.
So right, so your currency is going to be jewels and. Imagine you're going to Pret.
I know.
That's $5.99, please. A sprinkling of gold.
Gold leaf on the top.
Yeah, you're scraping it off.
Right, there you go.
Is that enough?
Oh my god, I'm going to be careful because this is not about me, right? I need to go back to you, okay? And I know I've had you for a really long time, but I do need to ask you about season 8, right?
Yeah.
Not spoilers that will get you in trouble, but I just need something.
It's going to be emotional.
Oh.
It's going to be very emotional.
Oh.
I mean, it goes deep. Yeah.
Is it?
It's got drama. It's got heart wrenching. I would say, yeah. I wouldn't say why. Might be multiple things. In fact, it is more than one thing. But you'll see some great performances. You'll also see some resolutions.
Yes.
Some things, it's not all doom and gloom. I should stop talking.
Do you have any advice for young Scottish actors, or even just actors of any age, who have such a burning passion for the craft? What advice would you give them?
I think just consume theatre, television, film, get involved. You know, it's you often find a good community amongst actors, I think.
Yes.
I think Scottish actors are really good at supporting each other. Whether it's youth theatre, whether it's getting into shots, obviously, if you can train, do that. Apply to, you know, a drama school, either up here or, you know, plenty in London. Which is often in itself quite a tricky thing, so don't get disheartened. You know, it's all about patience and persistence. And just work on yourself, work on the things that make an actor, work on your voice, do accent work, dialect training.
Yes.
Read.
Read.
There are plenty of books on acting that can
Help.
that have very different schools of thought on acting and what it is and how you should do it. You often get that sort of prescribed methods of acting, which whether or not you agree with, you can still get a lot from reading ideas of acting and what it is and what it is to other people, and that will lead you to a place where I think you can find your own sort of individual approach and understanding to it. So it's really all just about passion, persistence, and working on yourself and working on your craft, and I think that can take you a long way. But enjoying it, you have to enjoy it. You don't have to. There are a lot of people who are in it, I think, maybe for other reasons, and which is fine. That's their own thing. But I think if you love it, then that can carry you a long, long way.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. I'm so happy that you came on the show.